Morning, dear friends. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Sonal Doshi. A very good morning. And namaste to all the grandmasters and all our friends. I'm Sonal Doshi from St. Louis, Missouri. And I have the blessing and opportunity to be your host today for this fourth week. So on behalf of Buddha CEO Quantum Foundation, a very warm welcome to all of you. And I am excited to learn in this week with you. Just a little bit about myself. I was born and brought up in Mumbai and moved here in late 90s here in St. Louis, Missouri. And I've been residing here for past 23 years. I work in anesthesia as a nurse practitioner and have been meditating since 1992. That's when I learned my first program, Art of Living, and really humbled and blessed to be here today. You know, they say when the student is ready, the guru appears. And so I did a lot of the work around when Chandra sir and Vani ma'am, were manifested in my life. And eternally grateful for them holding my hands and, giving me this platform to make a difference, expand my knowledge, self-inquiry, and learn with all of you. So as, we all have been hearing about the phenomenal program that this has to offer. What it changed me was it has tools for everyone. I felt I was being taken care as a child by a mother who's ready to nurture. And that's exactly what this program is going to do. Just like a mother, wherever you are, you know how a mother takes care of each child in the way that child needs are, so that you can be nurtured and enhance this life. And that is what Chandra sir has designed this program for all of us. Wherever we are in our journey, it's giving us the tools, to be happy, because that's who really we are, and flow in abundance. You know, it could be an abundance of love that you're probably seeking, a relationship, a financial abundance, a partner, health, spirituality, wherever you're in your journey. So I'm super excited and thrilled to be here and embark on this fourth week of journey. We'll be playing a short video, and then Chandra sir will take over. So thank you. I think we are ready for the video. Thank you.
Tapaha Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. So Swadhyaya is that in order to gain knowledge, or in order to multiply our experiences, we need to have these friendships, and then in order to increase our understanding, so we are always doing Sajjana Sangatya. So friendships are essential to relate to each other, to bounce back.
After Dhyana comes Sajjana Sangatya. A Sajjana is a person who does a lot of meditation. When you do meditation, you become a Sajjana. And when you express your meditation experience, that's what happens in Sajjana Sangatya. Every day, lot of Dhyanam and then lot of Sajjana Sangatya.
We create our own negative reality. We focus on what is negative, what was painful. And in a sense, each of us, we create our own suffering if we are not aware of it. Because the minute we become aware of the emotions, the thought we have, instead of reacting, we are starting to respond.
the experience that I am getting from the first-hand hearings from the experiences from the other people has given me a lot of knowledge to connect my dots. I used to connect myself and where I am actually failing within these 40 minutes, and I just went through my 23 years of my professional experience, and I just revealed myself where I am failing.
Guilt, fear, and inferior complex have killed me alive. So I was under stress for a complete year. After this breath mindfulness meditation, I started to use my clock time, and I was coming out of my psychological time. I was coming out of my fear, guilt, and worries and inferior complex. I feel completely light. I feel concentrated.
Regular practice of meditation gave me self-confidence. It increased my ability to work longer hours, able to focus on the subject, became disciplined and organized, and I did lose some qualities of loose tongue, envying others, and people started listening to me and started respecting my behavior and my talk, and they used to listen my sayings on the meditation.
Many times I outburst with people. When I take a closer look and see why does this happen, what I could see is I actually go to that outburst mode when I don't get the answer from people that I'm looking for. So it all boils down to acceptance and not accepting them for what they are actually. So I have started to accept things around me.
Thank you, Sonal Madam. Wonderful to have you as a host. Very soon, not very soon. The switch has happened, so I'm so glad that it's all few months. You already have trained yourself so much in breath mindfulness meditation. That's your sincerity.
Yes, sir.
Patriji always used to say, sincerity and seriousness. The intent is serious. Sincerity means you are really giving your time regularly, consistently, day in and day out. You give time. Seriousness means you've got a very strong intent that I've got to figure this out. Then I'm going to make a difference to myself by learning about this. And so everybody and anybody, when they are sincere and seriously practicing, whatever they take up, it's got to be very, very useful for them. It's got to be very productive, and they sure will see them in the next stage of that thing. So we are very, very glad that you are there supporting this program and mission. Thank you. Happy morning, dear friends and masters. Good afternoon and evening. A farmer had a son, and then he had a horse. It's a beautiful Zen story, trying to pave the way for what we're going to learn this week. The farmer with his son have a horse in a village. The horse is an important aspect of their life because it gives them a lot of support, material support. It helps them. So one day, a lot of wind, and so the stable broke, and so the horse escaped. Then the villagers all came and then told, oh, what a bad luck. So you lost whatever that you had. It was very important for them to survive, and so you had lost it, bad luck. Then the farmer said, maybe, may not be. That is a reaction. Maybe, may not be. And so they carried on their life. And then a few days later, the horse came back with 3 more horses, wild horses. And the villagers came and said, wow, so these are so lucky. You got now 1 gone or this thought, but now you got that plus 3 more. So you're very, very lucky. And the farmer again said, maybe, may not be. And a few days later, while the son is trying to train the horse kicked the son pretty hard, so he broke his leg. And so again, the villagers come and they talk about, oh, what a bad luck. I mean, these horses are really brought you bad luck. See, now your son is so much impaired from work, so now you can't even do stuff. Again, you got into the same challenges. Then the farmer said, maybe, may not be, wait and see. Something is happening. And then a few days later, soldiers came looking for young men. Young men in the village who need to be serving the army. So they're going to pick up all the young men who are in that age group to go and then serve the army. And so they looked at it and said, your son cannot walk at all. And so then we'll leave this boy and then we'll take everybody else in the village. So they've taken everybody else. This is a good story that is telling us that if we wait patiently, things will keep turning around towards your way. There's always something good with every event, with every experience, every interaction that are happening in our lives. So then you can be patiently there, have your emotions appropriately expressed, than to either feel too good or feel too bad. The financial situation, the thing is, the Zen stories, these parables are good. We listen to them and then we forget them, miss them. Some of them look too simple. I can't sit here and then say, if my biggest customer told me on my face that you're not going to get this deal, go away. It's not that easy as somebody getting kicked or losing a horse, maybe. Because your entire bonuses, performance for this quarter of the company, a lot of them may be dependent on you, on that deal. Which is true in the real life. Our situations seem to be a lot more tougher than these simple things that we talk about. However, one thing that the story tells us is that the farmer, he was carrying on his work, and every time things happened, of course, he had to go through difficulties. Of course, it feels great if I had instead 1, it is 3 times more windfall. It feels great one way or the other. But he had one thing, that his reaction to the events was thoughtful. He is more present in the moment. He is more choosing a response versus reaction. He is more emotionally regulated. He is intelligent in the way he's dealing with it. And Harvard study always tells the events are neutral by themselves. Events happen. It's what we do with them, what meaning we assign to them, and then how do we respond in a situation is all that matters. What meaning we're assigning. The farmer assigned the meaning that the moment he lost his horse, that okay, now financially we're going to be just so struggling, everything is just going to be a big mess, and start worrying about it on it again and again and again. he's sure going to have a future experience exactly that. The thoughts and feelings create our reality. Continue to create more of it. Everything goes downhill. We go into stressful mode. Our decisions are going to be so bad. We lose out, and then we lose relationships, blaming one another. So instead, he recognized, and then carrying on his work, recognizing that yes, there is a challenge potentially, but let's see something else. There's a different understanding. Let's see what may happen, what's going to happen. Let's try to work through it. There's always a solution in every challenge. Now, so the events are neutral, experiences are neutral. It is what we are, what meaning we're assigning. If we can understand various meanings that are possible, if we understand a better way of handling things in situations, in events that are happening, and if we gain our knowledge, then naturally, then we have an opportunity to apply a different response to situations that happen. Emotional intelligence is about going through. Emotional intelligence is to handle challenges, situations, handling challenges and situations in a way that you can recover from the events quickly and then continue to perform at your best. We're not saying they don't express emotion. Emotions will be there in a moment. We feel about it. But then emotional intelligence is to recover from that events, our experiences quickly, and then continue to perform at your best. Then to go into suboptimal working, suboptimal decision making, suboptimal participation into events because some big challenge came. And so then we withdraw. It's not happening for me. It's not working out. I don't think I can even do it. Withdrawing is not optimal. And then sometimes it goes into downhill mode. Mindfulness meditation that we are practicing, dear friends, is absolutely building a lot of intelligence, emotional intelligence. Because the basis is self-awareness. Basis is to be in the present moment and the mindfulness. Because we can read any amount of stories like this. If we cannot choose, if we cannot have the access and being very present in the moment to be able to access to give a different response to that event. I can feel very bad about it. I can blame my son and each other. Father and son can blame each other. Because of you didn't take care of that and this. Or go through that experience and then recover and say what we'll do next. We need to have sufficient knowledge and understanding of dealing with situations, and we need to have that self-awareness to be able to apply it in a given moment. So emotional intelligence is greatly enhanced by meditation. By now, I'm sure we've been seeing many people coming and expressing that I'm better at my emotions. It's happening naturally. So we'll explore this concept, dear friends, in ways how it's helping us everywhere in our life. We can start a business, we can get into a promotion, a job that we require, we can land a promotion that we require. These things are possible with a lot of intelligence and the manifestation work. And you want to grow your business, you want to grow in your ladder after getting the promotion, or you want to be successful in the job after landing the job, you need a good emotional intelligence, you need a lot of emotional intelligence. Your IQ gets the job, but if EQ gets you promoted and grow, let's go into our meditation, dear friends. Welcome to anybody who joined this program. Today, we're always encouraging people to join any day. The technique of the meditation is very simple. Those if you join midway the program, continue to practice it. It will make a little bit of time to go to day 1 and day 2 of this playlist to understand the technique in detail, but the technique is simple, that we are practicing something called breath mindfulness meditation. The meditation that we practice here, and then we emphasize a lot towards practicing. We can get any amount of knowledge. You search for Jen stories, you search for Mullah stories, you search for something, there's so many will come on the internet, and so we can learn from there. The practice is important. It's 5 minutes of not practice. So we give sufficient amount of importance to the practice. That's what Patriji always mentioned. Your meditation will take care of everything. That's deeply ingrained for me and for all the Buddha's viewers, that we give sufficient amount of time to practice, not 5-10 minutes. So in this program of 90 minutes, we are looking to meditate at least for 50%, 40 to 45 minutes of meditation every day. It's easy. Once you get into the practice, like anything, it's easy. So thank you for choosing to be here, to join this, or join midway, continue, and then you can go back to listen to the past knowledge and wisdom from the previous weeks. So the technique, and let's understand this, is called breath mindfulness meditation. I'll share this slide. It's very simple. What you're doing is, our goal is to stay in empty states empty of the mind states for some time. You want to empty the mind of thought. And when you do that by observing your breath with your eyes closed, you close your eyes, you sit down comfortably in a chair on the floor, cross your feet, fingers into fingers, hands in your lap. It's in your lap.
எல்லாம் கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டேன். இது எல்லாரோடது 2 இருக்கு. எந்த மட்டும் இப்பதான் கிரீன் வந்திருக்கு எனக்கு. இதெல்லாம் கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டேன்.
Fingers into fingers, hands comfortably in your lap, your eyes closed, observe your normal natural breath, a reference point anywhere on the nose, and then at that point, observe your breath going in and coming out, your natural breath. And you observe your breath, slowly, the mind is becoming empty. So as the mind is becoming empty, you may experience total emptiness. You may have some sensation, some movement, or some kind of vision. When you experience any of those, observe them. Do not pull back, do not come out of meditation, don't open your eyes, observe them as their meditative states. In case anytime you recognize you have thought, bring your attention back to the breath. Again, observe the breath, and again you go into this empty states, the meditative states. So this is going to keep happening because the mind keeps wandering. And so here's your attempt to bring your mind, the mind to observe the breath. And so by doing so slowly, over a period of time, we're going to train the mind to stay in the empty states or low thought states. That's the goal of this meditation, is to be in the empty states of mind. And it's called breath mindfulness meditation, dear friends. And so before we do this process, we're doing something called heart elevation process. If you just follow my guidance for it, very simple, a few minutes of this heart elevation, which helps us to go into deeper states of meditation. Relax yourself, sit comfortably, relax your body. With your eyes closed, Dear friends, dear masters, with your specs removed, eyes closed, keep your hands on your chest area. Rest your attention on your sacred heart with a slow, long, relaxing breath. Can you feel your sacred heart? Feel your heart center, the seat of all emotions. Connect with this center, which is helping your life thrive, helping all life thrive, with its emotions of love, gratitude, compassion. Can you recollect an experience from your past, or from your present, or from your mind movie of love, of gratitude, of compassion? Relive that moment and feel that energy, that emotion. We are all deeply interconnected. Deep inside, we are specks of energy, intricately connected with each other. Love, gratitude, compassion are all the way to experience that connection, to move into coherence with all things and everybody. Can you radiate that energy onto every corner of this planet Earth to heal? Where your attention goes, there the energy flows. slowly, let's go into breath mindfulness meditation. Allow yourself to merge into your breath and allow yourself to experience the emptiness where there's no body, where there's no thing. When you empty your mind of thought, you move away from matter, from form, from your body, from environment, and you experience greater emptiness. all emptiness is energy. The quantum field of energy with infinite possibilities and opportunities. The longer you stay aware of this emptiness, the more you tune in to these energies, to the possibilities. Allow yourself to merge into this emptiness, the field of energy, the field of possibilities. The longer you stay aware of this emptiness, that void, the more conscious you become, the more spontaneous you become. Allow yourself to merge into the emptiness of yourself. This is your greater intelligence. Your divine self. Go deeper and deeper into yourself, dear friends. Merge into that emptiness. Friends, let's express gratitude. Can you express gratitude to your parents for giving us this beautiful connection to this universe? Be grateful to your teachers and mentors for expanding your knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is precursor to experience. Your gratitude to all the people in your life, your family, friends, colleagues, relatives, everybody, for helping us learn so many things. Gratitude to this grand nature, the bird, the fish, and the animals, for filling our lives with beauty, energy, and more. Give thanks to everything you use, the technology, the government, the companies, the systems that support our lives in many, many ways. Gratitude to yourself for caring for you, for caring for others, and to this intelligent universe, the quantum field, for allowing us to experience so much more in this life. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership.
You are the heart, you are the hand.
Relax your body and let your autonomous nervous system repair your body as you relax.
And who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth.
Recollect your experiences from the session. How did you feel? What did you see? What have you experienced? And whenever you're ready, you can keep your hands on your eyes for 5 seconds and then you may open your eyes. Okay. My friends. Hope you enjoyed the session. Anybody first time? However, some of us experience easily this concept of emptiness. But most of the time, many are experiencing a lot of thought, at least feel that I'm experiencing a lot of thought. Continue. It is very, 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 very natural and common to experience thought. They're no different. Everybody goes through that. Everybody goes through that. Few days later, it becomes easy to handle. What is effort in the beginning becomes slowly and slowly effortless because our brain is created that way. It learns pretty quickly. Once it learns, then it makes everything effortless, like you're driving or cooking. It's not effort anymore. The skill is learned. Yes. So talking about emotional intelligence and how meditation enhances it. We always said this, meditation is for holistic growth, physical vitality, PQ. It helps us to develop back our passions, go back to live life again. We need energy, we need health, we need abilities. IQ, growth and development, to learn, to take on things in life, to have challenging aspects. When we recognize that we don't have enough mental strength, we are losing memory, we don't have the ability to learn, so we slowly withdraw from taking new initiatives. Manifestation, we have learned this in week 3. Week 1, we understood PQ and IQ, how meditation is enhancing this, and some tips around how we can improve this further. And the last week was about creating, and once you recognize this is what I would like to go after as an experience, as a project, a growth in your career, and not doing the service, whatever that is, then manifestation, this whole concept of thoughts create reality extended and understood fully, so that we feel confident we create. Creation is happening from inside. Because the quantum field is saying that the spiritual science is saying there's abundance. Quantum physics is saying now everything is a possibility, whatever you wish. And the key is inside as our thoughts. So we change our thought, we create an experience. And so then emotional intelligence, as you recognize and you want to experience, we build great energy and health, we find our passions back, and we have ability to learn so we can participate. We understood the techniques to create things. Now, how do you magnify? How do you amplify? How do you experience something bigger with people together? And so EQ is about being able to work with people and in situations to make the most out of it for everyone involved. Let me put up a few slides to understand these concepts. Meditation is increasing emotional intelligence. So we consider emotional intelligence, and we're going to cover this in these 5 areas. Self-awareness, to know this is the root of, this is the most essential aspect of emotional intelligence, is you have awareness in any given situation. Self-awareness and awareness about yourself and awareness of everything that's happening around, moment to moment. Self-expression, to being expressive but appropriately. There are many aspects. Inspiration, so it's all about dealing with people and working in situations. So then self-expression, and then being able to, that if you are inspired, if you are able to do things on your own in many aspects, then you are inspiring. When you inspire people, then they're coming to the working with you. It's called adding value in many ways. By doing things that you can inspire, and so then people are willing to be with you. Empathy, you take it to the next level. You understand everybody from their situation, not just from your situation. empathy, understanding that things happen for everybody. Looking at somebody's point of view is empathy. And engaging and being able to be actively with people. Awareness is inside you. Expression is something comes from you. Inspiration is what you are able to represent for everybody. Empathy, how you deal with others, engage you actually in work with many people in many ways. This program and then this path that we've taken here, the meditation and the knowledge and wisdom that we are learning from many masters. We recommended 20 plus books in the beginning, in the first week. And then those are all basic foundations for developing great amount of emotional intelligence. Because they give a big picture. And they give, some of them give beautiful tips, while some of them give big picture. And many of them are helping us to train our mindset. And so then all of these aspects that are here, awareness, expression, inspiration, empathy, engagement with people, we develop beautifully. And you do meditation when you read, when you learn. What is happening with, where is all this emotional intelligence happening? So I just want to brain and the limbic system. We talked about this in the past. This whole speech color, everything is all this conscious mind or the frontal brain or the neocortex, the big brain, human mind. Now in that, the prefrontal cortex here, the front portion is about attention to events, and then actually ultimately makes decisions. Then the subconscious mind, which is the key aspect here, the second part, are the limbic brain. We said the brain is divided into conscious, subconscious. The conscious is a big part of the human brain, also called scientific term the neocortex. And the subconscious is the limbic system. Now is where 90% of our life experience are going through the program stored in it because of two things. It's got this hippocampus, the long-term memory, amygdala, the emotion center. The emotion center is there in the subconscious, somewhere in the midbrain. And coupled with this long-term memory are all that intelligence that we gather through life's experiences, what we call the subconscious programs. I'm like this. My family is always successful. We can achieve anything. That becomes your program depending on your past experience. Or it's too difficult in life. Life is very tough. It's a program. The programs are there in the subconscious mind, and then amygdala is responding to various events as we have sensory perceptions get active through environmental events. If there is if you're walking in a forest and suddenly there's an animal showing up, then suddenly the sensory perception signal is coming to the subconscious, and then it is potentially understood as a dangerous event by the past experience and say, oh, animal dangerous. And so then subconscious in this amygdala then producing chemicals to feel that fear. It's dangerous. So then we essentially then bring up that fear emotion. It produces chemicals. The fear emotion produces chemical for stressful emotion because you feel a little bit stressed at that moment, called cortisol. The stressful emotion is required for us to become more alert. And so then it does a few things. But the thing is, amygdala is producing the chemicals so that the body feels certain way. And the emotions are all about that. It's there from the amygdala, they're originating. Of course, I'm simplifying. There's so many aspects of the brain that are coming into action here. So putting this into perspective, we call it an amygdala hijack. When you are in a stressful state, that means like an animal showing up, I don't know, potentially a boss shouting, I don't know, something is going to do, no? I don't have anything as bosses, by the way. So, so the amygdala hijack, let's look at what happens, right? So the thalamus, there is this another thing called thalamus in subconscious. There's thalamus, there's amygdala, and then the neocortex and the frontal brain. Three aspects are coming into play. Thalamus is processing the sensory perceptions are processed to different parts of the brain, and then it goes to thalamus. It's saying somebody is shouting. Then the frontal neocortex, which is like, the one who's taking rational decisions, is saying, it's okay, cool, chill, don't worry about it. Just your boss. Then the eye is looking at it and saying, oh, it's charging down, it's coming really fast. And the neocortex is again, the frontal cortex saying, wait a minute, relax, don't just get excited here. Let me think and see what to do. In the meanwhile, I send one more signal saying, oh, really coming fast. It looks unusual. Really coming fast. That's the signal that I is giving. Fast. And so then the thalamus at that point is basically the subconscious is charged with protecting us quite well. The body has to be protected. So in the moment it senses it as danger based on various data that it's got from the past, then it is bypassing the neocortex, or conscious mind. That's why we call it conscious mind is bypassed, and then the control is given to the amygdala to say, you take charge, take care of the body, protect your body. We learned how meditation is dealing with the stress in the week 2, day 1 of week 2, this whole concept of fight or flight mode. So once there is a danger that the brain is sensing, then it's going to move the body into fight or flight mode to protect itself. So that's the amygdala is doing a lot of function there. So where it is sort of taking over and then producing enough chemical that makes our body stronger to potentially disappear from the scene. In case of a boss problem, that's what you're going to do, is to run away from it, escape from it, because you can't bear it one more time. So there are two responses here in this workflow below. So when the control is given to amygdala, where the prefrontal cortex is not in, the frontal brain is not in control. Instead, the amygdala is directly taking an action, which is what is happening without meditation. Then you take an unconscious action. You react, unconsciously react. Because the choices to take in any given situation, what choice to take is driven through this prefrontal cortex, the decision-making brain part of the brain. It needs to be given sufficient control. And so the subconscious mind, the second aspect of the amygdala, is getting control, and it is doing a knee-jerk reaction based on the past subconscious response that are there, and picks up and then just goes through it. And so means if it has to run, it'll run. It has to shout back or it has to prepare itself to ready to give at the boss who is coming at you, and is doing that readily. Whereas if with meditation, where you build awareness, so then it is giving the conscious mind and the prefrontal cortex sufficient time to respond, and he still keeps the control there. And so then you would get a conscious response. An unconscious reaction, knee-jerk reaction versus a conscious response, a mindful response. It's happening with meditation. When we can maintain that cool calmness from which we originate a response, dear friends. So the responses can be possible when we know there are alternate options available. So there has to be sufficient knowledge to say there are enough options available. If the only option is that every time there is a tough situation with your manager or the boss or with your spouse at home, the only option is to either shout or just disappear, just vanish from there, go away from that place, just walk away. Either way, it's going to aggravate the situation, you know that. But aggravate the situation either way. It's not necessarily a great response. And if that's the only two response you know, then that's what you can do. So do you have a better response when somebody is aggressive with us? So is there a better response? Can we patiently be there? Can we patiently listen it out before you even respond, as soon as they say the first word? They say that deal, and then who knows what they're saying, but that deal, that word is immediately that your delivery of that client's thing. Then when they say that word, then we are jumping 10 steps forward because there's no calmness. This conscious mind is not in control. So we're jumping 10 steps forward to say, oh my God, you're bringing again the past event for discussion here, and then how you really, really aggressively spoke to me last week about the same thing, you're going to bring it up. And so we start defending ourselves differently. Versus, can we have a different response? That let me wait it out. What does he say? What is she or he bringing today? Is talking about that client. So let me wait out to fully listen. And let me understand what situation my boss is today coming from. Let me be little more patient, little more empathetic to see maybe there is something else going on with you. So let me first listen out what is the issue. Maybe it's something different from the last week. So if you know that there is that response possible, that we can be patiently wait, we can give a full hearing, that itself is sufficient for somebody to lose half their anger. Let them vent it out, let them express as a new response. And another response is let them express, and I'm going to patiently listen it out. And then I simply acknowledge and say, okay, I hear you. Let me think about the comeback. Another response. So do we know if these responses are there? Then absolutely, then we can choose. We need awareness. We need ability to respond differently. We need knowledge to respond differently. So then, dear friends, from a scientific perspective, we start responding. We start making better out of the situation that happen every day. So before we go into the detail of emotional intelligence, I would like us to understand this concept of learning. They refer back to the Jen story I talked about in the morning. We hear so many stories like this every day. We keep reading nice quotes. Wow, in the moment we get inspired. How often are we able to recollect those quotes and actually apply them? That's the problem. We go to a lecture, there are so many people, great orators. You go and then go on spending an hour, nicely, mind gets soothed, and intellect gets stimulated with all those stuff. Yes, 3 days later, nothing is remembered. We are back to what we are. So what we remember, what we learn is simply sitting in the conscious mind, which is not a long-term memory. So it comes there, we get a momentary high, and then it's not deeply imprinted enough that it's going to stay as a long-term knowledge that we can access, number one. And then second, we are so controlled through our amygdala, or the emotion center, through a past memory, a past reaction of the conditioned body, that we don't have that awareness in the moment to slow down. So we need to understand how the brain is learning, and if we can understand this concept, and so then whatever we learn, and we can apply it using these concepts of learning, doing, being, and so then, dear friend, we can sure make a change. And meditation is assisting in this change. The story must stick well to us, that we provide an equanimous response. We provide a response with that farmer story that, no, hey, don't need to get too overexcited and don't need to get over worried. Just wait it out. Things are always improving in a way. Situations come and go. When we don't have challenges, we always have challenges. But the story has to stick very well. And so understand this concept of three brains, learning. There are three aspects: learning, doing, being. They correspond to these three brains, three aspects of a brain. So the brain divided into three areas. We put this picture earlier, and then we're going to talk this through in a different perspective today. So the human brain, the neocortex, is the frontal part of it, the big part of the brain. 95% of the brain is that. And the smaller part, the little bit of yellow color, is this limbic, subconscious limbic brain, emotion center, long-term memory. Pineal gland is sitting there inside. And the third one is the reptilian brain connected to the vertebra. It's connected to the vertebra, it's taken care. And so this learning, and they also call the learning brain, doing brain, being brain. So the main words are exactly that. You learn, and the second thing is you keep doing it. And third one is you become of it. You take driving. Initially, we got to read the manual. You got to know what that is. If you know about the driving skill sufficiently, then you can think of actually start doing it, right? So we learn about it in many ways from different people. And then in order to remember, in order to actually stick to it, in order to learn and make it, internalize it as a useful thing, we got to start doing it. No brain, right? We do it. And this is where, as you do it, things are going into the subconscious. Subconscious is remembering as experiences. When you do something, when you learn something, the learning is stored at different levels. As text, if you learn something visually, learn something with feeling, then your learning is more deeper. When learning is more deeper, then you're able to do well. What do I mean by that? So this brain, learning, doing, being means that initially it is superficially at the conscious mind level. When you practice enough, it goes into the doing brain, to the subconscious. When you practice more and more, at some point, it becomes your natural state. So in a driving, to turn your four-wheeler, you have to first of all calculate enough in your mind in the beginning. Is it possible? Is that cut is going to be there? How is it? Is it going to hit something? And am I going to be too close on the left side? All that things go into your mind. In the learning stage, you want to put a lot of scenarios in your mind. In the doing state, you're still thinking and doing. You're still thinking, but you are choosing some response and you're doing it. In a being state where you don't think anymore, the turn is automatic. You are talking over the phone, you're talking to your friend out there, you still can turn automatically. As a being state, you become of it. Compassion you practice initially, but then it comes to you automatically. The moment you see somebody, you're compassionate to help. It's a practice that happens over a period of time with awareness, choosing a different response than to say, I'll not bother about people. So difference. The three aspects of learning, doing, being. Let's understand. And the three brains are there. And so the more we learn and the more we do things, then we are slowly going to the state of becoming. And so further, a little bit more we understand. Our brain has huge intelligence. A lot of data points here. It has huge intelligence. And the way brain is learning is that what does the brain have? It's got a lot of neurons, the cells, brain cells. And the neurons come together every time you learn something. So I really want to make sure that the Zen story you learned, and we remember it. In order to remember the Zen story, and we have to internalize it so that it becomes so natural to be equanimous. So what's all coming together for that to happen, right? And so the brain has these billions of neurons. What's the time now? 7:38, so another 5 minutes. The brain has billions of neurons. And the neurons are coming together to form connections, to learn. Whatever you're learning, every time you learn something, like today we learned that story. And so for that, it has to form a lot of connections. the neurons, and so here, this is a neuron, it's got a connection with another neuron. This thing is a neuron, has connection to another neuron. So the neurons form connection with each other. So every time you learn something, then the neurons come together and form a connection. And every time you repeat something, the neurons form more connection, because the repetition means that it forms more, the cells that are called firing. They come together, they fire, electrical impulses go through one with the other. And so then when you repeat it, then it forms more number of connections to store that information that you learned little more strongly. You repeat once again, it starts a little more strongly. So the brain has a capability to form these neural connections, and how much it has significant, almost infinite, unlimited amount of it. The numbers are staggering. So it's got any amount of brain. That's why we say we use a small capacitor of the brain because it's got so much, but we use very little. So the cells that fire together, wire together. That means every time we repeat, we relearn, we recollect, or every time we learn something related. So I learned today a story about the Zen story. So then you formed connections. Tomorrow, you learn a sloka from Bhagavad Gita, which says that in any situation, be equanimous. And so then you try to relate that story with this one. And so together now you have a greater memory, but there is a knowledge that is associated knowledge. These two come together and you have more connections formed. Because when you're learning the Bhagavad Gita sloka, you go back and recollect this story that you learned today, Zen story. Now, so you recollect the Zen story, the connections around the Zen story becomes more because the brain refires and then forms more connections. And then better yet, there is this Bhagavad Gita sloka now associated with it. So combined, you got a lot of memory around this concept of being equanimous, being cool in a situation. Right? So the way brain is learning is that when you are learning simply text, if you read a story, just a text, then it's got some number of connections. It uses less number of connections. It's like pixels, you got this resolution. How many pixels you use to get better clarity or less clarity, right? Pixels we use. So it uses, when you're reading something in the text form, it has less connections. It uses less connections. When you use something in visual form, feeling form, it uses more connections. So that story that we learned, the Zen story, if you simply read it, it's one thing. So then it sticks somewhere. Then you have a picture, somebody put a picture of this farmer and then a horse, and a Zen story is presented next to it. Then suddenly you put that picture in your brain. So the brain requires a lot more connections for pictures. So it's visual. So the same information you're learning, but you also associate with a picture, and that picture is there. And the moment you see a horse and a farmer and a picture, suddenly now you're bringing that whole story back because it's part of the story. It's part of that whole memory first, remembering the story. So now when you add an emotion to it, for example, the story you learned today, while I'm talking about it, so there is an emotion feeling here. What is it? Because there is Zoom, a real person talking to you, explaining with some drama, some action. And so then now it's a lot more than just pure visual. Now you are associated with a lot of feeling here because there's a real world story. I'm changing my voice modulation, so there is a feeling associated with it. So learning, now when you have feelings, then it is a lot more connections are formed. So that means that your ability to remember is a lot longer. So that's why when you watch these movies, and especially the movies which you take you into deep emotional states, and then you remember the story for a long time, the scenes for a long time, because you learned it with a feeling, visual, right? Not just simply as a story that you've read somewhere. So dear friends, so first principle in learning is to, number one, to see if we can learn with feelings and visuals. That means stories. So learning is important to one is more feelings, more visuals. So having videos and then listening to masters in real life. You go to a stadium, watch a cricket match is different from watching from home. You know it. Because you go to a stadium, and then you're there with it in the middle of everything, that whole energy, that, all of that excitement out there, your brain grows and learns and say, wow, everybody is enjoying it. And you are learning, and your brain is scanning billions of bits and storing it out there towards that experience. So you remember that experience much more longer than watching the TV match, cricket match from home. The same thing when you are learning good stuff. We do it. We go to conferences, we go to workshops, we sit down there, and then to associate a lot of contextual information, feeling when you learn, as opposed to simply sitting behind and just reading it. Second thing, a repetition is important. A repetition, when you repeat, so that means what you go back and re-listen to it, then we are forming more connections, and so then you're able to remember it for longer term. Right, dear friends. So far, so good. So far, so good. So I want to talk about this situation. You learn the story that you need to be equanimous. You need to patiently wait before jumping to conclusions. So that is a new learning that we had from that story. Patiently wait. Don't jump to conclusions about anything. Now, let's say you are a manager, your quarter is coming up. And so then you suddenly hear this information that your company is losing this big deal, which you've been banking on. So what is your choice? The normal reaction would be immediately pick up the phone call, or no, immediately come to the conclusion that who is that guy who is handling it? Okay, let me go to Ram, and then run to Ram and then talk about it, say in a way, what have you done here? This and that. That's your normal response. We may ready to, because we are already amygdala is driving because of behavior, we are ready to go and then respond by catching hold of the person and trying to just blurt it out, whatever that we want to say. Because that's the usual response. But then if you are a meditative mind, dear friends, meditation is building that awareness. So it's not giving the amygdala that control. Yet, with that awareness that it is there, all it requires is that meditation at that moment has to pull back another response. So suddenly, with that awareness, meditation brings a little bit of that gem story. One small spark comes and says, hey, look at the gem story, the farmer story. The moment one small spark comes, suddenly the body, the body is designed where it wants to always make you experience something good. So automatically everything lights up around this Zen story that we heard. You heard the Zen story today. You go and then listen to the same thing. Maybe Sonal Madam is talking to some another story. Your friend, you talk about this good response that you heard. You heard the Zen story in this class. You go and repeat this class to your friend. You repeat it a second time. Your friend is telling you how being slow down, calm has helped him, a story. So when you hear this repeatedly, your brain connections are stronger, it is there. And so when you're in a situation with meditative mind, it builds that awareness, so it gives a spark and say, wait a minute, you got another option. That is sufficient to pull back all the stories you heard from Sonalji, you heard from me, and you read somewhere. All of them come together as a knowledge and wisdom, and makes it overwhelming in the brain to take a response differently this time. Not take the usual phone call or walk to the person and shout. Instead, take a response, step back. Wait a minute, maybe there's something bigger happening. The client pulled it off because maybe he's adding 10 times more things and is going to give us a big deal next quarter. Maybe that is there. The client pulled off. Maybe there is something fishy going on. It really hurts the company's image. And so maybe that's the big thing. Well, potentially it is there. So there are various reasons. You step back. The meditative mind gets the spark. And meditative mind, a meditation is helping neural connections and neural glue to rewire to learn more. Normally, when the neural glue is not there, then it's difficult to take in any new response, because every time you give a new response, brain has to learn and to form new connections. And if the glue is not there, then we don't take new responses because we resist the change, we resist the new response because it's not supported by the brain. A stressful brain does not take that. A stressful brain is difficult to take in anything new. When you are calm, with the meditation, it gives you the spark to take a new response. So one time you do it. So we learn the story. Here is an option, first time. An opportunity to respond with slow, calm response. Wait a minute to think about it before we talk about this. So one time you do it, learning to doing state of mood. Is it sufficient to do one time to act calmly in every situation, act patiently, or take a challenge like that with a relaxed mindset to think a little more? Is it sufficient one time to do? We know it is not sufficient. We got to do this again. You do it a second time, you do it a third time, and then slowly, it becomes a new response that when things like that happen, we stay back. Over a period of time it's happening, we know it. If you are a person, a salesperson, 20 years experience, when situation like this comes, you're not responding as a 1 year experienced person is responding. We know it over a period of time, because with experience, it becomes that thing sticks and say, okay, I know it. Things happen all the time. A senior person who's got that wisdom is slowing down, but somebody who's not there yet is not slowing down. But meditation will get us the same experience of a senior person very quickly. They'll become more successful. So learning becomes doing, and then doing so a period of time becomes you be of it. That means you are calm by default. You don't need to practice anything. Dear friends, whatever that we experience is what we allowed others to experience at that moment. If we are calm, we allow others to be calm. If we are agitated, others will get agitated. What we have is what we give to others. If you develop a compassionate response, you allow others to develop the compassionate response. What you have is what you can give. So we learn, we repeat, we learn beautifully through visuals. That means we go in person learning. The satsang is so important. Swadhyaya, learning again and again is so important. Satsang is so important, because the learning, doing, being is always coming into picture with meditation, and awareness is so important. Put this perspective, why meditative minds, where people are able to improve the emotional intelligence more, our response is better, is because of these two aspects coming together. That's why we say we got to continuously learn. Don't stop learning. And continue to meditate. And so sure enough, you're becoming a better person through emotionally handling things very, very well. Thank you very much. We will explore Wednesday and Thursday about this whole emotional intelligence concept. Yes, Sonalji, for any announcements.
Yes, we have dear friends, just a gentle reminder for our Inspire Book Club. The book that we're reading today is Illusions by Richard Bach. It's facilitated in Batch-1 by Vidyaji Ramchandran and Ramesh Kondamurti. And then the Batch-2 is facilitated by Sujata Shriram and Sheetal Pawar. The date and time for Batch-1, it's just following this session now. It's 8:15 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And for Batch-2, it's 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. If anybody needs any help with joining the link, it will be posted in your WhatsApp group. With that, dear friends, have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes.
That's all, sir.
Thank you. So see you all tomorrow. We'll still stay for a few more minutes. Some music was
Do we have time for any question answers, sir?
5-10 minutes, yes. But I was
Oh,
waiting for Sai to play some music.
okay.
Mr. J from New Zealand. What do you say about today's learning, doing, being concept?
Yeah, I feel like so relaxed, first of all, and then whatever I learn from this one, trying to implementing the way of thinking pattern and talking to the people. Yeah, so many things is learning from this session. And first of all, like I feel like very cool and peace. Totally, the way of thinking is changed before and now. I feel like more positive and getting like confidence. It's like building inside automatically. Yeah.
Right. What time is it in New Zealand now?
It's now 2:26 p.m. afternoon.
26 in the afternoon. Okay. We see a big group in the next program from New Zealand.
Definitely.
Okay. We want to come there. Australia and New Zealand have never visited and really would like to make this sometime.
Yeah. Soon.
New Zealand. You'll organize sessions?
Before I used to, but not now. But I will plan on starting again.
Wonderful. That's great. Yes. Anybody, any situation and work or any questions? Just about our meditation.
Oh, if nobody has.
Is that?
I said I'll go if nobody else has a question.
Yeah, please do.
I want to ask you, you know, how we are learning to use meditation to heal physically, emotionally, and mentally. So what happens when we read a book about, you know, how Joe Dispenza talks about healing his spine and his health condition? So what happens when somebody has damaged their brain? I've seen patients with coma and comatose, so they've lost half side of their brain. The reason I'm asking this is because when I got initiated in Buddhism and I learned that Eightfold Path, and you know, the first thing they teach you is about how we are fortunate to have this body which has a mind. So which means, you know, when you have animals, they are not able to meditate. So why is it important for us? You know, we should be grateful for this healthy body and mind that we can sit and meditate. So I was wondering, when somebody has a brain damage, what is their journey ahead then? Is it is their blueprint?
Yeah, I mean, if first of all, it's energy to matter, soul imprint in this body. And so if the blueprint of the design is such, then they're going to be that way. The design is such, they're going to be that way for a long time, and then before they vacate. The support system keeps them going, and they break the support system, they go. The brain is damaged. Now, we've seen many miracles of people coming back. The brain is one, if the heart is there, many aspects are totally damaged, nothing can revive back. But then everything can be revived back. Through what happens, there is something called this NDE, the near-death experience that are happening out there. When somebody goes into a state like that, it's a near-death, where you are completely unconscious and you go off, then the stories that you constantly read, where you have an experience of going and then being in touch with, you have an experience of having interactions. I'm trying to use different words. If they're having interactions in the hall of elders or whatever, but then you go and have an interaction with the energy, the energy beings, and so then you are deciding and saying, no, I'm going to come back and I've got to continue my life for some more. And you come back and re-enter, things seem to be fine. And you make a decision there that I need to go back and then continue and experience life some more because I've got some more unfinished business for whatever reason you decide and come back. And then you are recovering pretty quickly coming out of this coma, and then you're going about doing things, doing your life and then experiences. So it is there. So it is what medically that we consider that it's all gone, but then many times they come back. And what medical science said it's not possible to revive. You know, in the cases where they come back, it's happening because then we say this material self is created from somewhere. And so the same self is created, it can also take care of, fix the body, any part of the body easily, if it decides to do so. So we have to see that perspective.
Thank you, sir.
Perspective. There is something else that created this intelligent body can also easily fix things if it wants to continue the life through it. And so it is happening. It happens, it doesn't happen. Both options are there, which is ultimately tied to what you said, tied to somebody's design and experience.
Thank you, sir.
Raymond Moody, Near-Death Experiences by Raymond Moody's books are a very great way to understand these concepts of NDE. He's done a lot of research on just NDE, near-death experiences. It is a subject that's quite a bit intrigues the medical community because these are done in the on the subjects who are in the system. They come back. Some of them come back after they go into this coma state for a long time, come back. They ask them what happened, so they tell these stories. And they tell these stories and say, oh, these are hallucinations, but they actually corroborate with the hospital room operating conditions that, okay, the doctor that day is wearing this colored dress, they're using 2 scissors, doing this change, the nurses I see there. So when they narrate all of that aspect also, then it becomes difficult to just disregard, to ignore all the other information they're talking about. If this part is right, then that part got to have some meaning. And so this is how this whole ND is built. Native experience are built. The concept that, yes, it's not somebody's hallucination after coming back from coma, they're saying something. Right? There is enough evidence that is put together to say that and consider that experience. And many of them point that there is a conversation happening on the other side. You go through a tunnel, you go suddenly from one portal to the concept of portals came there. So we have to explore all of this science to recognize that it's not just us coming as bones and molecules, and then so things are fixed by modern medical system. But there's a lot more intelligence that is there that created this whole thing, and so then that intelligence can easily do or undo something on it if it requires so. And when and then why does it do and when does it do? Those are the things that we understand by exploring this whole spiritual science that many, many masters are writing through their personal experiences of insight. Okay.
Sir, we have Anand Singhji. If you would please mute. Yeah. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. My name is Anand. I'm from Mumbai. Actually, I am from engineering background. I'm working in a private firm. So I have attended one seminar for NLP. So I know that when we are having audio and visual and movie like any information that we can store in our memory easily for long-term period. But I have one question, like after the age of 35 or 40, our memory loss is high. So just I wanted to more information like that, how we can get store our data, because in engineering field we have to study continuously. So some information we are losing and we cannot memorize for long-term period. So is that any way or any concept, or you can elaborate something more which will help to keep our information for long term.
Yeah, there are many mind techniques are there. And one of the biggest technique is meditation that you're practicing here every day.
Yes.
So this meditation that you practice, based on the research that I presented some last week, I talked about it. Sarah Leather's research around how meditators' brains are expanding the neural capacity, and so then your ability to improve various aspects that are memory. So I talked about 7 memory parts last week. So it is improving with regular meditation.
Okay.
And then, of course, there are many other techniques that one can try and follow. But it is now scientifically proven that while memory loss happens because I talked in the context of anti-aging. Meditation is anti-aging. So more the cells in the body, the telomerase, which is required to duplicate the cells, is the length of the telomerase is maintained or increasing in size for long-term meditators. So that means your body is regenerating. Cells are duplicating more and more. So then that means brain cells also duplicate, and so then your neural capacity is maintained. Okay. And so it is a great technique to continue to practice this meditation. And so then you continue to improve. And by the same time, we have to, it's mind over matter. So a lot of times our degeneration happens because we ourselves instruct and say, I'm becoming old, or the old age is catching up because of this is happening. And so that belief has to change fundamentally in our mind. That has to come with a lot of enough knowledge and understanding and experimentation. So if that is there, and then meditative practice are there, which is taking out all the noise, and then so the neural capacity is continues to be built because stress is not there, then both combine, and then more sure enough, then you will continue to learn and learn and learn more.
Okay.
And then not only learn, you're taking action. At 55, people are saying, I'm taking up something new. My mother at 69, she started learning music and I started singing for people. At 75, 76, and we started singing very happily, not worrying about what others think of her. So what happens to me if I just do things that way? Now, what is she thinking? What does she think? She's a child or what now to start meditation, start music now, and start singing, participating in kacheris and all kinds of performances. She doesn't think all of that, and she just wants to go and then present herself. So people are taking action, even though they're 50, 60, 70, they're in a new life. And it's important because when you take action, we are learning more of it. And so there is seeking more.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I think we have Sanjay Kumari.
Namaste, sir.
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. Mr. Anand, who has talked about that memory loss after 35 or whatever. So I had developed hypothyroidism, and due to that, I had lost my memory. But now, from last 5 years, I am recovering it, and I think whatever you have said and whatever you have explained, I am the example, you can say, that it is not true that we start losing our memory with some age limit. As I have experienced, it is not true, I think. With meditation and all that mind techniques, it is expanding actually, which is what you have explained right now. And I have experienced it.
Wonderful.
I have regained my memories.
Sure. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Kiran, tell me more about that book you're reading.
The book, sir, I don't know if you can see it. It's The Immortal Mind.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
That's the exact book. I completed the first chapter and I was wondering, we never spoke about near-death experiences in this, in the in the 40-day, of course, meditation programs. And I was wondering, like, when this topic would come up, and it's like, I don't know, amazing. Like, we spoke about this today, and it talks about like the big question. The prologue of this book has the first question: does our consciousness, mind, soul, or spirit end with death or our body? And it goes about, like, how reincarnations and the experiments done about the same thing, about cardiac arrest, about patients, how they actually go through the death experiences, and how they actually know, some of them know about what happened during the course of their cardiac arrest and things like that. So it's amazing, like how this topic came up today. Again, this book, sorry if I have a background. I don't know if I can shut this.
Yeah. Wait, let's spotlight you.
Okay. That's the book, if anybody is interested. It's Arvind Laszlo, The Immortal Mind.
Yes,
there you go.
Good.
If somebody wants to read it, this is not a big, huge book. It's only 160 pages. Oops. Okay. That's The Immortal Mind. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. We got that now.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, friends. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you all.